Hello, welcome to Levant TV Headlines. The Marine General nominated to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff says the United States and its coalition partners are making moderate progress in the fight against the Islamic State, but that the strategy should be re-evaluated if efforts to improve governance in Syria and build reliable local ground forces stall. More than 4 million Syrians have fled the civil war ravaging their country to become refugees in the surrounding region, 1 million of them in the past 10 months alone, the United Nations said. At least 22 people have died in fighting between Berbers and Arabs in southern Algeria, the bloodiest toll in 2 years of frequent clashes between the communities, national news agency APS reported. President Barack Obama has tapped a career diplomat with extensive experience in global hotspots to head the sensitive post of the ambassador to Libya. Negotiations over Iran's nuclear program lurched towards another deadline on Thursday, with diplomats reconvening amid persistent uncertainty and vague pronouncements from participants. Now let's have a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting from Beirut, where the Daily Star leads reporting that about 200 supporters of the Free Patriotic Movement headed for the Grand Serai on Thursday after a heated argument broke out between Prime Minister Tamam Salam and the Free Patriotic Movement Minister Gibran Bassil in the cabinet. The paper also reports that the Lebanese army arrested 5 citizens for smuggling 6 Syrian men across the border between Lebanon and Syria. A military statement late Wednesday night said the army seized a pistol and hashish from the Syrians who were being smuggled across the Masna border crossing. From the United Arab Emirates, the Khalij Times leads reporting that an Emirates aircraft struck another carrier while on a runway in the Nigerian capital of Lagos, the commercial capital, on Tuesday, causing minor damage, the airline has said in a statement. The paper also reports that Dr. Anwar Mohammed Gargash, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and US Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy Richard Stengel, today in Abu Dhabi launched the Sawab Center, which aims to counter the online messaging, propaganda and recruitment by ISIS. And from Egypt, the Independent reports that despite the lessons of the past, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is relying on fighter planes, mass arrests and death sentences to battle Islamist militants in a crackdown that could in fact prolong instability. The paper also reports that Egypt's military killed 35 Islamist militants in North Sinai on Thursday, security forces said, a day after the deadliest clashes in the region in years. And now papers here in London. Starting with the Independent, which reports that an interactive map created by human rights group Amnesty International has shown every attack on Gaza by Israeli forces during the 2014 Gaza conflict. The map, named the Gaza Platform and unveiled today, was created by Amnesty and Forsenic Architecture and aims to push for accountability for war crimes and breaches of international humanitarian law that may have occurred during the conflict. The Daily Telegraph reports that an Iraqi court on Wednesday sentenced 24 men to hang over the June 2014 massacre by jihadists and allied militants of hundreds of mostly Shia military recruits in Tikrit. The Central Criminal Court in Baghdad handed 24 of the 28 defendants the maximum sentence over the Speicher massacre, named after the base from which the victims were captured before being executed. Also from the UK, The Guardian reports that the conflict in Syria has now driven more than 4 million people, a sixth of the population, to seek sanctuary in neighbouring countries, making it the largest refugee crisis for almost a quarter of a century, according to the United Nations. On Thursday, the UN Refugee Agency UNHCR said the total number of Syrian refugees in Turkey, Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan, Egypt and other parts of North Africa stood at 4,013,000 people. Now let's have a look at the top Middle East headlines in international papers. The India Times reports that this week Israel hailed India's abstention at the UNHRC vote on Gaza war as a qualitative leap in bilateral ties that made it a normal relation without hang-ups, even as India maintained that the vote does not mark any shift in its policy on the Palestinian cause. And finally, the International New York Times reports that with the United States and Iran on the verge of a potentially historic nuclear accord, however, there has been a distinct change in tone. The anti-Americanism on the streets of Tehran is getting even more strident. The rising levels of vitriol have been on display this week in the build-up to the annual anti-Israel extravaganza coming this Friday. And that was it for today. For more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching and bye for now.